Welcome to Rider Nation Station, presented by American Manufacturing Solutions, your total logistics partner, investing in Rider Nation Station and St. Mary's, Ohio, and to our other fine sponsors.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome once again to the Doug Frye Show on Rider Nation Station. I'm Joe Hurlbert, along with head coach Doug Frye. And first of all, Coach, congratulations on a big win on the road at Kent, 39-34. Riders run their record to 4-2 overall and 3-2 in the Western Buckeye League, but nonetheless, big win.
A win's a win, that's for
Absolutely.
sure. And, it was certainly very interesting. A lot of people have asked me throughout the week, how's your heart, Coach? And I don't know, I was so plugged into the game that I didn't even think about that till afterwards. But I thought our kids played with a lot of heart.
Absolutely, but we're going to talk about that Kenton victory in a little bit. But first of all, let's, as we do each and every week, take a look at our Western Buckeye League standings. Ottawa-Glandorf is the only team undefeated in league play. They're 5-0. They're followed by Wapak and Kenton with 4-1 marks. St. Mary's is 3-2. Shawnee, Salina, Van Wert, and Bath all find themselves with 2-3 Western Buckeye League records. And Defiance got their first win. They're 1-4, and Elida is the only winless team in the Western Buckeye League, 0-5 in league play, 0-6 overall. Last week, in case you missed any of the scores in the Western Buckeye League, Bath defeated Defiance 13-6. Ottawa-Glandorf defeated Salina 24-23. Wapak defeated Elida 63-20, while Van Wert defeated Shawnee 34-21, and of course St. Mary's win 39-34 over Kenton. This week, the Western Buckeye League shapes up like this. Shawnee is on the road at OG. That'll be a big game for the Titans at home. Wapak will be on the road at Bath. Defiance at Salina. Kenton at Van Wert, and of course Elida will come to St. Mary's to take on the Rough Riders. Before we go any further, Coach, let's kind of bring us up to speed as how your other programs did this past week.
Our JVs won. Our JVs are now undefeated. They're 6-0, so it was a good win for them. Freshmen lost a tough game at Coldwater Monday night, and it was kind of a combined game. Coldwater and us used a few JVs mixed in, and lost 36-20 to Coldwater. And so we're real excited about our freshman group. We moved a few of those guys up, and they're very competitive. Our 8th grade has lost one game, one tight game, and our 7th grade is undefeated at this point. So we got good numbers at all levels, and they're all playing well.
Now, let me ask you this question. Do you get an opportunity to go and see the younger groups play?
Well, not as much as I'd like to. They post all their films on our Huddle program, so I'm able to watch all the films, and I do each week. Look at that, and I'm only able to see the ones when we're at home on a night, Thursday or Saturday, where I'm able to.
Well, we talked about the JV program. Back in the day, they used to play varsity ball game on Friday night. The JVs used to be on Monday. Now they play on Saturdays. When did that change, and why did it change?
It evolved about 4 or 5 years ago, Joe, and just to the standpoint where sometimes we do play Mondays too, and sometimes some schools are sharing some of those kids on Saturdays and Mondays. So they'll play a Saturday JV game and a Monday freshman game. So I'm not really sure of the reason for that. Maybe a little more convenience for parents to get to the games. Coaches may be able to coach a little better on Saturday because you need your varsity staff there on Monday.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to look into a topic that is probably becoming a little bit more, there's more awareness of that nowadays with some of the things that are taking place, but it's the concussion protocol. We're going to do that and more as the Doug Frye Show continues right after this.
If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, your job is made easy with Scott Ross Realty. Contact one of their hardworking, well-trained agents today at 419-305-4373 for all of your home buying and selling needs. Scott Ross Realty, wishing all Rough Rider sports good luck.
Welcome back once again. Joe Hurlbert along with Doug Frye on Rider Nation Station. Coach, the concussion protocol. How long has this concussion protocol at the high school level been in effect?
I believe it's been 3, 4, 5 years now. Time kind of runs together for me, but I know it's been in effect for generally in that period of time. And what happens with the protocol is once a young man is diagnosed as having the symptoms or possibility of a concussion, right away we pull him out of any activity. And, of course, we have a trainer and 2 doctors on the sideline, so they do that. But if we have suspicion of that, we can do that ourselves and pull them out, and then they'll have to go be cleared by a doctor and be concussion-free before they can come back with a return protocol.
You know, one of the things we need to keep in mind that a player does not literally have to be knocked out unconscious to be declared with a concussion.
Correct. If we have any suspicion of that, we'll pull the young man out immediately and have him go see our trainer or our doctor at that point, and then it's up to them. We do a test here that is done by our trainer, which I've never been part of, but that's completely her test, and she'll run that test and see if they pass that test, and also they'll have to be doctor cleared of any symptoms.
Some of the things that I've picked up as I've researched this information on the internet, that these are signs that can be observed by a parent or even a doctor on the sideline, is if the athlete appears dazed or stunned, is confused about his assignment or his position, he forgets the plays, is unsure of the game, the score, or the opponent, he kind of moves clumsily about, he answers questions slowly, loses consciousness, even if it's just for a short period of time, shows behavior or personally charged or personality changes, such as irritability, sadness, nervousness, feels more emotional, and he can't recall events before or after the hit. Those are just some of the things that probably your doctors on the sideline will ask. And I remember back in the day, when I was in high school, a situation happened like that. One of our offensive tackles had a concussion. We brought him over to the sideline. We sat him down, and this individual's name was Don Brewer. He was the tackle, but Coach Duncan asked him what his name was, and he goes, Dave Hosfeld. And so immediately we kind of chuckled at it at about the time, but in all seriousness, that could be an indication that something was seriously wrong.
Absolutely, and all the changes that have been made are for the better, and concussions are very serious issues, and we want to take care of the young men, so those changes have been very, very good for all of the kids.
Now, some of the things that have changed, not only as far as the awareness of the concussion protocol, but changes in the equipment and some of the ways the tackling is implemented. So can you explain some of those?
Right. For a long time, we've actually been ahead of the curve. I believe in 20 years, we've not, people look at football from the outside. We really don't tackle in practice. I haven't tackled with our kids for the most part, maybe other than maybe 8 or 10 plays for the past 20 years. And what we do is we tackle into high jump pits, mats, those type of things. So everything in practice is with a quick whistle. We're only in full gear one day of the week in practice. Tuesday is the only day that we practice in full gear. And like I said, we do tons of tackling work individually is what we do, and try not to create those piles or those big hits in practice that are going to maybe take place at times in a ball game. And really what's been implemented recently, and I believe we did it about, when I first came here, it's been 6 years now, is the rugby tackle, which is more of a shoulder tackle, which keeps the head out of as much contact as possible. And we started that when I was over at Wapak as a head coach. So we probably, myself as a head coach, been using the rugby tackle for 10 years now. But again, even when people were in full gear numerous days, we've been kind of ahead of the 8 ball and tackling on mats and not taking kids down in practice.
Because it used to be the fact that even when blocking or tackling, the theory was that you put your face mask right on the chest of the person that you were tackling or blocking, and that has probably now been eliminated.
Well, we certainly have. We roll tackle, rugby tackle, and that's, like I said, why we use the mats so much. We actually have tackling roll-type dummies. They're like a big round circle that we roll, and you actually wrap that dummy and roll into it. So since I've been back here, and like I said, even at Wapak, for the last 9-10 years, we've been tackling in that manner.
Absolutely. Well, I hope that brings you up to speed and gives you a little bit of clarity of the importance of the concussion protocol that the Rough Riders follow, and I'm sure a lot of teams in the area do, even at the collegiate and professional level. But hope that brings you a little bit more insight on concussion protocol. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about St. Mary's big win over the Kenton Wildcats last week. We'll do that and more when we come back right after this. Vogel's Bake Shop, making thousands of fresh donuts daily, open 7 days a week with stores at St. Mary's, Salina, and Walpock. Also now found in Wagner's IGA at New Bremen, Minster, and Fort Laramie. Welcome back once again to the Doug Frye Show. Joe Hurlbert along with head coach Doug Frye on Rider Nation Station. Glad to have you with us. Coach, big win last week, 39-34 on the road. And I guess one of the things that stood out to me, no turnovers.
Well, that's the way we like to play the
Absolutely.
game. We call that playing the game clean. And, we had one possible one when Ty Howe went down and the ball came out and the official rolled him down. But also we had a couple of our kids dive right into that pile to come up with a football. So Stosh Patterson was right in the middle of that, making sure he came up with it. But and we got some turnovers, so that makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a look at some clips from last Friday's game, and we're going to start this one off by taking a look at your special teams. Special teams did an outstanding job. This clip we're going to see here is Dylan Troglin taking this one back to the house on the kickoff.
Well, what a way to start a football game right here. Dylan does a nice job fielding that on the first bounce and just taking that thing right up, that football right up the sideline. And he does have very good speed, and there's some exceptional blocks on this also. But we start every practice with special teams every day and really just emphasize the importance.
And I think we're going to get a wide-angled view of the same play. So you'll get to see a little bit more of the blocking scheme and how everything's set up for this touchdown
Watch our
run.
guys fall back. Watch the block on the upper left side, if you saw that, by Fishbach on the upper side. And there's some exceptional blocks here and great hustle by our kids.
Absolutely. That is a great way to start the ball game. Offensively, the Rough Riders picked up 317 yards of total offense. No surprise, 274 yards of that was on the ground, 43 yards through the air. You picked up 20 first downs. And we talked earlier, prior to coming on the program, is that it was a little different, St. Mary's Kenton ball game, than we've seen in the past.
This is probably the most unique St. Mary's Kenton game that I've been involved in as a head coach. And, of course, a lot of those were against the Mocs and Cornell. Of course, his son was on the field, number one. He played back with the Mocs. And generally, we control the clock. We control the time of possession, the number of plays, and they make the big plays. And it really was just the opposite way around.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's take a look at the offenses. First clip, we're going to see Kurt Bupp airs one out to Ty Howe, who gets behind the Kenton defense, but I don't think he's able to pull this one down.
Not able to pull this one down, and that was right on the money. And Kurt Bupp's been playing some very good football, and he's such a coachable young man. If I had to use him as an example, his coachability is just tremendous.
Ethan Wedding had a good ball game, had 2 rushing touchdowns. Here we see him scamper for 21 yards.
There's another junior running back that the edge is cleaned real nice right there. We're getting our unbalanced formation, and great job blocking up front. Great run by Ethan.
And, of course, Ty Howe had another good performance, 12 carries, 188 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, and also caught 1 pass.
You ask what we call our Friday night lights guys that have been under the pressure of Friday evenings to play well, and Ty certainly did that.
That little move right there at the end is almost, you almost knew that in his mind he knew that he was going to do that. He's going to just wait till the guy runs by him and then cut back into the end zone. So that was a good run for Ty Howell. On this particular clip, Kurt Bupp hits Ethan Freewalt, who got in the scoring column with a 30-yard touchdown
Absolutely.
pass.
It's a great play by Freewalt. Kurt kind of underthrew that just a little bit, but Ethan does a good job. There's another senior making a play, and good job by Ethan.
On this next clip, Dylan Troglin gets an opportunity to throw the football. He's going to throw this out to Ty Howell.
We tried this earlier, and Ethan Wedding couldn't get it out of his hand on a 2-point conversion, and Troglin Dylan does a nice job getting it to Howell.
This next clip, again, is just Ethan Wedding with good blocking up front and just good hard-nosed running, second and third efforts.
Good blocking, but nice spin there, a nice run. That I just like the intensity and how hard he ran the ball.
And this last one here is a perfect play as far as I'm concerned. And in my book, the victory formation.
Yeah, we practice that every Thursday. I kind of like that too. And, that's well executed, by the way.
by everybody. Defensively, again, just crazy. Blaine Houston, the Kenton quarterback, threw 83 times. I'm not sure, but I think that might have set a few records. I'm not really 100% sure, but I think it did for the most attempts in a high school game. Completed 53 for 650 yards. But again, as we're going to see on these clips, the defense just came up time and time again with big plays.
We came up with some turnovers, and, I didn't realize till after the ball game that he'd really thrown for that much, and it didn't seem like that in the ball game. But I think they had a difficult time getting the big play from us. They dinked and dunked us down the field a lot and came up with those plays, and there were a lot of, we got a lot of room for improvement on our football team. We got to tackle better. We got to finish sacks, just a lot of little things. But overall, they did what they do, and they did it well.
They did. And they controlled the numbers, the statistics in the ball game, but when it's all said and done, the one statistics, that's the important one, is the one that's on the scoreboard. This first clip here is Lucas Walter puts a big hit on the Kenton receiver.
Yeah, that's well done, and that's just film study and great coachability. Lucas is really, really, over the last 4 or 5 weeks, been an extremely coachable young man. He leads our defense, does a great job.
And that was just a classic tackle of putting your shoulder right where it needs
Perfect
to.
form.
Putting him right to the ground. Hunter Fraley puts pressure on Blaine Houston.
Hunter had a great week for us all the way around on both offense and defense, and he's a quick, tough young man that plays hard and comes up with a big sack here, I believe. Yes, right there it is. Good play by Hunter.
On this next clip, Trey Fisher, and of course pressure again by your defense all night on Houston, forced him to do things that he probably was comfortable with doing. This one is just a pass that was, I believe, knocked down by Trey Fisher.
I thought what we did well in the game was get our hands up. We extended the hands a lot, and there was a lot of batted balls, which was good.
And here's an interception as Carson Fishbach jumps the route and picks this pass off.
We flush him out. Nice job by Carson right there. Great break on the ball.
Our next clip, obviously, you used the 6'7" freshman. Overall, how did you think his performance was?
I thought very good. For you think back to yourself or when you were a freshman, and that's a young man yet, and he still hasn't kind of grown into his body all the way. But we can teach him a lot of things, but we can't teach 6'7".
No, you can't. But this is just an absolute perfect timing. Gets his hand up.
He's such a coachable, hardworking young man. He's got a bright future.
And this last clip we've got is obviously this one seals the deal. This is Ty Howell interception in the end zone.
I couldn't really see it back there. I'm such a tall guy anyway, and I couldn't see over everything. But all I saw was Ty popping out of there with the ball, and so what I saw was good. And if you see, if there's a back view of that, they were trying to get the ball to Cornell, their top receiver, which we had watched in our own film sessions, and he might have forced it in there a little bit, but Ty had great coverage.
No, I'm not so sure how much time was left on the clock when that happened, but would you advise him to take the ball in the end zone or run it out?
Well, he ran it out, but I was screaming as we were going down the sideline to get down on the ground, because what I was envisioning there was the ball coming back out and them getting the ball back. So what I was hoping, once he got it out of there, because I knew their timeouts, I believe they were down to 1 at that point, they wouldn't have enough time anyway, so I was screaming, get out of bounds, but he didn't hear me. So.
And they don't. Well, again, a big win on the road at Kenton, 39-34. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at this week's opponent. The Elida Bulldogs come to St. Mary's. We'll do that and more right after this.
If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, your job is made easy with Scott Ross Realty. Contact one of their hardworking, well-trained agents today at 419-305-4373 for all of your home buying and selling needs. Scott Ross Realty, wishing all Rough Rider sports good luck.
Welcome back again to the Doug Frye Show on Rider Nation Station. Joe Hurlbert along with head coach Doug Frye. And, of course, Coach, here's the situation that we've seen many, many times. You emotionally put it all on the field last Friday night with a big win at Kenton. Now you've got a team that's coming in 0-5. How do you keep your kids up this week to not have a major letdown?
Well, I don't know if there's any magical theory to that. I think it comes from your senior leadership. First of all, they need to lead. And we don't approach any week or any team differently than any other. So for us, the consistency of we lift on Saturday morning, for example, and we lift again Monday morning at 5:55s, and we get our 2 lifts into the week. So that's the one day we get our kids up early. Then we go back to work during the week, irregardless of whom we're playing or what their record is. So our consistency is our best approach.
Well, again, Elida, even though they come in winless on the season, 0-6 and 0-5 in league play, they're a fairly young team. They were young last year. They're trying to rebuild this year. They lost last week to Walpox 63-20. They returned 20 Letterman. They still have good athletes.
Well, top to bottom in this league, and of course a lot of people will put it in a nutshell of coach speak, but it's not. Top to bottom, there's not an unathletic team. This team has Spivey at quarterback, who's a state track meet guy. They have Poe in the backfield. They have a 320-pound tackle. They've got 2 scholarship athletes on the football team, and they have another 270-pound tackle. They've been beat 6-0, I believe 42-38, 28-27. So they've been in ball games throughout the year, and if we don't do our job, then we'll be in a ball game also.
And defensively, of course, I think last year some of the research that I've picked up on Elida, they were a 4-3 defense. This year they've gone back to the 4-3. Did I say 3-4? Now they're coming back to the 4-3.
Yeah, so they were an odd defense, a 3-4, 5-3 against us. They're now going to be in an even, which is a 4-3 or 4-4. They have 2 huge tackles. So one of the biggest matchups of the night, our guards traditionally aren't the biggest guys in the world, and we're probably at 180 and 190 in the trenches, and they're going to go against 320 and 270 in there is what they're going to do. So 2 big tackles, and that'll be a matchup that we're going to at least have to break even in there.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you the best of luck on Friday against the Elida Bulldogs. We're going to take this quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap things up on the Doug Frye Show for another week right after this. Whether your goals include college education funding, retirement planning, generating income, or reducing taxes, at Glass Daringer Investment Management, we've got you covered. Stop in and speak with Jeff Daringer or Kevin Glass at 100 West Spring Street today. Glass Daringer Investment Management. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Coach, back at home this week. Again, typical preparation during the week. I'm sure the crowd will be there, and you get support from the community as we always do. But again, a victory keeps moving us forward, and we need some help at the top. We really need some help at the top to get back into this thing as far as the Western Buckeye League is concerned. But you take care of your own business. We'll let everything else fall where they may.
I told the kids earlier in the week we have 3.5 weeks of football left. For all the time that you've went to the weight room, for all the practices, especially for the seniors, for all the time you spent through the lower levels of our program, you have 3.5 weeks. Anything else that happens after that's kind of icing on the cake at that point. And so I said, make every preparation moment count, make every day of practice count, enjoy the experience, but also continue to get better. And hopefully they'll take that to heart, and hopefully we'll come out and play.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you the best.
Thank you.
That's going to wrap it up on another edition of the Doug Frye Show. But before we wrap things up, we want to remind our viewers that you can listen to the live audio broadcast of the St. Mary's Rough Riders against the Elida Bulldogs on Friday night. We'll be on the air at approximately 6:45. And then it'll also be video replayed on TSC on Monday morning starting around 10 o'clock. And also, we encourage you to like Rider Nation Station on Facebook and subscribe to Rider Nation Station on YouTube. So once again, for Doug Frye, I'm Joe Hurlbert. We'll see you again next week. So long, everyone.
This episode of Rider Nation Station has been sponsored by American Manufacturing Solutions, your total logistic partner, investing in the St. Mary's community.
Vogel's Bake Shop, making thousands of fresh donuts daily, open 7 days a week with stores in St. Mary's, Salina, and Walpock. Also now found in Wagner's IGA in New Bremen, Minster, and Fort Laramie. Whether your goals include college education funding, retirement planning, generating income, or reducing taxes, at Glass Derringer Investment Management, we've got you covered. Stop in and speak with Jeff Derringer or Kevin Glass at 100 West Spring Street today. Glass Derringer Investment Management, securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC.